400 years had passed since God made a promise to Abraham, a promise that his descendants would one day leave slavery behind and step into the promised land that was prepared for them long ago. A promise that would ripen only when the sins of the Amorites had reached their full measure. The waiting was long, but God had not forgotten them. Moses entered the world as a slave, yet his life was preserved by the courage of his mother and the providence of God. Placed in the Nile to escape death, he was drawn out of the water, and so was given the name Moses, the drawn out one. Raised in Pharaoh's household as a grandson of the king, Moses grew up with an education, training, and privilege of royalty. But he also carried another identity. His true mother served as his nurse, and through her he learned the stories, the faith, and the suffering of the Hebrew people. Years later, as a trained leader of Egypt, Moses witnessed injustice firsthand. He saw a slave driver beating a Hebrew man, and something inside of him snapped. He acted in anger and killed the overseer. Even in Pharaoh's family, murder meant death. Moses tried to hide the act. He tried to appeal to his own people, but they rejected him, calling him a murderer, a deceiver, not a deliverer. With nowhere to belong, Moses fled into the desert. Yet this desert was not a detour, it was a preparation. In Midian, Moses learned humility, patience, and the quiet rhythms of shepherding. He was welcomed into the home of a priest, a man who taught him the spiritual wisdom long before God would speak from the burning bush. What looked like exile was actually training. What felt like failure was forming a leader. And in God's perfect timing, the man drawn out of the water would be drawn back to Egypt to lead God's people out of slavery and into freedom.